2, 3, 4.
We are Movie Menu Reviews. Can you smell what this podcast is cooking?
It's coffee.
Yes. And raw eggs.
And rocks.
On today's menu, we'll be reviewing Hobbs and Shaw. Or if you want to get technical, The Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw.
Nailed it. Good job.
Welcome, ladies and gents. I'm Dan the Man Muñoz, host of Movie Menu Reviews, the weekly movie news and reviews podcast.
Woo,
Back with my voice.
Your voice
can
is
actually
back.
talk.
You sound normal.
You sound exactly like you did last week. What are you talking about?
Go F yourself, because I do not, because I can actually speak. Z finally gave me my voice back.
I mean,
you Ursula.
Well, I couldn't be a drag queen all the time, so I had to give it back to you.
On that note, thank you so much, Z, for being here, as
You're
well as Mike for being here.
Yes.
Who both are my co-hosts, I guess. And-
well,
or they
thank
do
you,
something.
Dan.
Who knows what they do? But
We
they
do everything. That's what we do.
No, that'd be Dan that does everything. So let's go ahead and move on to some movie news.
Yes.
That have been released this week. The new trailer for The Irishman is released. It's be from Netflix.
Yes.
But it will be in theaters, in limited theaters.
Mm-hmm.
So it's directed by Martin Scorsese, and it stars Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, and Joe Pesci, the three big ones. And it follows mob hitman recalls his possible involvement with the slaying of Jimmy Hoffa.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you guys think about the trailer for The Irishman? And so this film has a huge budget because of the use of de-aging technology on all three of the actors. How did you think they looked?
Well, before we get started, you missed an opportunity. It's 3 Italian amigos. That's who these guys are. Because,
But they're making Robert De Niro as an Irishman.
Yeah, it's weird. But here's the thing, right? So they're making him look young. Are you guys convinced at all that he looks...
So it looks great.
Does it?
No, hold on. Let me finish.
Okay.
And I realize it's going to sound really dumb the way I'm going to say it right now. But it looks great from profile and from like the back shots.
Yes. No, I agree.
But full on face,
Yeah.
it is a little...
full frontal. It looks rough. And what I'm really kind of like at the same time questioning this is why isn't that Marvel, whatever the process is for, I don't know what studio is doing Gemini Man, but that the new Will Smith movie, they need to get together and just collaborate and create this de-aging process, because I feel like this movie, they got the lower of the totem pole. They got the X2 version of de-aging.
Yeah, they did.
It looks bad.
But it's probably because it's a Netflix and Marvel Studios, Lucasfilms, and all that's owned by Disney.
Yes.
And from what I understood, or from what I heard, rumors going around was that Netflix was behind in this film, and they, in order to meet its deadline to be considered for Oscars, they had to hire a bunch of VFX artists and companies to work on this nonstop.
So they were just rushing, is what you're saying.
So that's probably why it doesn't look 100% great.
Yeah.
But they wanted to finish it. But during our movie menu interviews show, plug,
Yes.
we learned that you can either be cheap, fast, or good.
Exactly.
You can never be all three.
Nope.
You can only be two.
Right.
And so we'll see how it turns out when it's released. But I will say the trailer for itself does look great.
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
No, doesn't Joe Pesci... So there's a clip where Joe Pesci's wearing these huge glasses. Doesn't he look a lot like Martin Scorsese when he wears
He
them?
kind of does. But that's also very racist of you.
You got to watch the trailer again and then take a look
Let's
at
watch
a
it
picture.
right now. Okay.
What the really interesting part, though, is this movie is written by Steven Zaillian. Zaillian? I don't know how to pronounce his name correctly, but
No, it sounds great.
This is the writer of The Night of, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. He helped with Moneyball, American Gangster, and the list goes on. And he also helped on Schindler's List. So just by looking at what his previous works have been, yes, the CGI looks really bad, and I think that might be a very difficult process for us to be able to see past. But this is written by a really good scriptwriter. And it's directed by Martin Scorsese, who, has turned out really good products.
And I feel like this is his wheelhouse where he shines.
He knows how to do mobster movies,
right? And just like look at The Departed, which is such a great film, and I could imagine what he would do with this storyline. And this is based on true events. So even though I think Silence was based on true events, and he didn't shine on that, but this is mobster based on true events.
I was going to say, this is him returning to the well, right?
Right?
Like his well of inspiration has always been the mobster movie, and this is him going back to that. The reason why the movie is being released on Netflix and in small limited theaters is because they want the Oscar.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So let's see if it's gonna. Well, Mike, do you have any final thoughts?
It looks great. I'm looking forward to it. And and it said it will be released on Netflix as well, which I thought it's interesting.
Now, would you guys go watch it in theaters, or would you wait till it releases on Netflix?
I want to see this in theaters, so I'm hoping it will be screened at a theater
It
near me.
probably wouldn't. It would probably be a very limited theater.
Yeah. If I can, I'm going to see it in theaters.
Netflix, I believe, required the Egyptian, so
really?
It might be playing there.
That's great.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I'll totally go.
But we'll see.
I will gladly watch it on Netflix.
I would see, depending on the release date. If the Netflix release date is much later in the year than the actual theatrical release, then I'll watch it theatrically. If it's released the same day, which I don't know why they would do, but if it was released day, then I'd probably just wait till Netflix.
Now, here's the last point on this. The reason why Netflix's prices have increased is because of movies like this. So I want to make sure I'm really, really hopeful this movie is actually good, because boy, oh boy, will this begin the marching of moving away from Netflix, because there's so much competition, and I think that this movie, being how expensive it is, and more importantly how much Netflix is pouring into movies like this, this is the reason why all prices are going up. And they're actually considering commercials because of films like this one.
Well, also because they are kind of a little in debt.
Also true.
But does that mean that we're kind of investors in the film then?
No, that's not how that works at all. No.
Can I claim my stake in Netflix now?
I hope so. In the end, it just says, thanks to Dan the Man Muñoz. In the end of the credits.
There you go.
With the special thanks.
They should put our names on there, damn it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But something that we should move on to is the next movie news. Is the trailer for the next film, 1917, directed by Sam Mendes, starring Richard Madden, Benedict Cumberbatch, Colin Firth, and a lot of British actors. Mm-hmm. So it follows two young British soldiers during World War One. They're given the impossible mission to deliver a message deep in enemy territory to stop their own men and from walking into a deadly trap. How did you enjoy this trailer,
Mike?
It looks like another great action film. I'm looking forward to it. If I'm not mistaken, is this the director of Jarhead?
It is, yes.
Is it?
He is, yes.
Okay.
He also directed Road to Perdition.
Road to Perdition, that's right.
But he's not famous for anything else past. Oh, hold on. He also did what was that one movie called? American
Beauty.
That's right. And those
That's what he won the Oscar for.
Yeah. What
That's
was
right.
the James Bond movies he made?
Skyfall,
Spectre.
There you go.
Skyfall,
Yeah, this
there you
movie
go.
does prominently show you that it's Skyfall that he was really good.
Which is interesting because that was not the last film he did.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, that's right.
Spectre.
I think Mike just caught on to exactly what my point is. This looks like another movie. And
Dunkirk?
yeah, I mean,
you're right.
And I think with that being said, it's like, okay, thank you, Christopher Nolan, for setting us up for making realistic yet not realistic movies, because Dunkirk was PG-13. There was no real blood in it. But it doesn't mean that we, as we were talking about Scorsese before, have to go back to the well. We have seen enough World War I movies. We have seen enough World War II movies. Like, can we move away from this?
We haven't seen a lot of World War I movies.
No, that's
Majority
true.
is World War II.
Oh, yeah.
But I thought it looked really... Okay, maybe because I still have not seen Dunkirk. So
What? Oh, okay. Well, then that sounds like it's your personal problem. You
No,
need to
personal
you need to-
problem,
You
no.
need to fix that.
This trailer looked really good. I actually like the effects that they use when they're saying Sam Mendes, but they're showing his name, but the footage is behind it.
Mike,
I thought that looked really cool. So, and the story itself, if it's based on a true story, I'm like, it's meeting impossible odds, and that is always a pleasure to watch.
Hold on,
for me.
side conversation with Mike. Mike, what was the theme of Dunkirk again? Wasn't it something to do with time?
Wait, I'm sorry. What?
Dunkirk, wasn't it all to do with time?
I'm not sure.
It was all to do with time.
So that was not a rhetorical question. That was a rhetorical question. He was asking, but wasn't asking.
I knew what the answer was because this trailer is doing exactly the same thing, which is time is the enemy, and you're like, okay, great, we saw that in Dunkirk.
Dunkirk wasn't like the first movie ever to do that. So, but I understand what you mean, though. It is stylized similar to it is Christopher Nolan. It is Nolan-esque,
yes,
I guess.
Yeah,
but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Why? Because they're both British. That's
no. I think Z's
that's xenophobia.
Well, that is not xenophobia at all. That is, in fact, within the scope of Western idealism. It's not xenophobia at all.
I know. I'm kidding. It's a joke.
But I wouldn't put like the label of just another war movie on top of this. So I would definitely wait to watch this film and see how it is. And I'm looking forward to checking it out. It looks suspenseful.
Plus, I think Sam Mendes is a great director.
He is.
I love his movies.
Yes,
I even enjoyed Spectre, so I am not.
Even? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, even.
Wait, was this the movie that he pulled out of? He went to go do instead of doing the next James Bond movie, right? This is the one you chose.
This one, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
So
Same here.
let's move on to our final trailer review.
Which, speaking of Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is crazy of this trailer.
It's
is that,
really crazy.
That it's not online. If you saw the Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw, then you saw this trailer, unless you were Mike, because Mike didn't see it.
Mike fell asleep.
Somehow.
I don't know what happened. I missed it.
But it was only playing in front of Hobbs and Shaw, and you cannot find this trailer online unless we've been doing some digging, which is kind of why we were late.
We were doing some black ops googling.
Black arts, black ops.
We were doing our occult spells
and our military training at the same time.
Yeah.
And we could not find this online.
We could not.
And so we want to talk about it because me and Z did.
We were paying attention, and Mike wasn't.
And so the trailer for Tenet, it stars John David Washington, and who is Denzel Washington's son.
Yeah, and was previously in
Black
Klansman.
So it shows an interrogation room or a window, and this you can't see the man behind the window so clearly, and it cuts to a title card that says "Time for a New Protagonist." And then you see John David Washington step forward. He examines a shot or two shots. Me and Z disagree.
We were doing some analytics on it, going like either it's a two shots, or it's a trajectory shot where you see the in and then the out, and we're like, but see, that's a good trailer, right? Like we're analyzing it, even though we cannot rewatch it.
Yeah, and so you see John David Washington checking out the bullet, and then it cuts to the next section, title card, where it says "Time for a New Kind of Mission," which is really interesting. So it cuts back to the footage of John David Washington. Now he goes to another bullet on the window and touches that, and then it cuts to Tenet. So
it first focuses on 10, and
10.
then the words start to rotate. And it pulls back again, and you then see Tenet, and you can tell by the way that it's spinning, it is a palindrome, which is the words are both forwards and backwards.
Like race car.
You're right. Taco.
Taco's
cat,
not
taco cat.
Okay.
Taco cat.
I was like,
shut up. Let me finish it. So a couple of things, right? We know nothing of this story per se. We just like a Christopher Nolan movie, we know very little. We can't see the trailer, so we cannot rewatch it and try our best to kind of analyze it. But what people are speculating on the internet is that this movie is and might be a sequel to Inception, because it talks about time. And now to be fair, the Christopher Nolan movies, time is always a story element. But when you identify time, you really are identifying Inception with Christopher Nolan. And I don't know about you guys, but the idea of a new mission sounds a little bit like Inception. And what would you guys think if this was?
It says a new kind of mission, so I don't think.
But the last mission, we didn't know what the ending was, so this is now a new mission. But what do you guys think? What would Christopher Nolan, with the exception of the Dark Knight series, I don't think has gone back to do any sequels.
He has not.
Would you guys be open to the idea of a sequel?
As long as it's not Interstellar, but that's a argument between me and Mike.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It's hard to go back.
How would you feel if it was actually an Interstellar sequel? How
I would hate it so much.
I'm very curious how that trailer would turn out to be an Interstellar sequel. Actually, now I'm hoping it's an Interstellar sequel, just based on
spite?
Just that spite. Yeah.
I mean, like, I would be open to it, but I doubt. I feel like how Sam Mendes is mocking, or not mocking, but like...
No, he's definitely not mocking. He's is
like
homaging
Christopher Nolan. I feel like Christopher, because when I read A New Protagonist, I thought, they're gonna make like a new James Bond type of character.
I thought so too.
Which Sam Mendes is known for James Bond, Skyfall, and Spectre. That would be funny if Christopher Nolan is now gonna homage Sam Mendes, and they're both just like
you think it's a conspiracy,
mind fucking the audiences and copying each other's type of film.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
But also just seeing the actor, right? You see him, and you're just looking at the way he's dressed, looking at everything about the decor, and just the way that the shot are stylized. It looks a little bit like a I don't know. It looks like a New York style of story. To revert back to the Irishman, it does kind of look a little bit like a crime story, and that just makes me that much more excited for this.
Yeah, I'm also really excited. And again, this film doesn't come out till next year, July 2020. So,
and this movie cost $225 million to make. So that Nolan is like making like his own epic film there. So I'm very curious to see. Like, I want to see more. I obviously want to see the trailer online so we can all break it down and just be able to kind of like find the nitty gritty in there. Because right now we're just using our memory to figure this out. I'm
gonna need to see Hobbs and Shaw again just for the trailer.
I think you might need to because you clearly have missed out.
Yeah, I think I did, and I'm disappointed that I did.
You should.
You fail. But on that note, let's go ahead and move on to the review.
Yes.
Movie menu.
I like how the failures on that note. It's like, you failed on that.
That's
note.
the.
That's actually. I'm thinking
you should be used to that.
I was gonna say I think that's a good segue.
That's the best segue.
It was not just the best segue, but it was the most natural segue to go. And on that note, the movie we're reviewing is Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw, directed by David Leitch. Written by Chris Morgan, based on the characters created by Gary Scott Thompson. Here's the plot. Lawman Luke Hobbs and outcast Deckard Shaw form an unlikely alliance when a cybergenetically enhanced villain threatens the future of humanity. Starring Dwayne Johnson, Jason Statham, Idris Elba, and Vanessa Kirby. All right, guys. So we have all seen this film, so we shall decide if this movie is worth attending and watching in theaters, take out way to watch it at home, or leftovers. Toss this film in the
cybernetically created virus.
Activate the virus and
eliminate yourself.
Activate yourself.
Deactivate yourself.
Deactivate yourself.
Now, whoever. No, there's no guess. So that's it. Let's go ahead and
that's it. There's
go ahead
more
and rate this film, Z, as you are a fan of this series.
I am the Fast and Furious expert. I feel like. Is that fair to say? I've watched all of the Fast and Furious movies.
But it's funny because I've only seen one, and I feel like I don't need to watch any of them because
I disagree.
I already caught up. Like I already know what happened and what's going on.
Well, this
So go on.
movie is a dine-in for me. It was as much fun as I would say Deadpool or John Wick was, and this movie was a whole lot of fun, and it was exactly what it was, which was a giant popcorn film. It did have problems, but for me, it was a dine-in.
Mike?
A very soft takeout for me.
Wow, as in like you didn't like it.
It was okay.
Okay, okay,
I'm like in between the two of you.
okay.
I really enjoyed the first, the first hour and a half, and it was like the last 30 minutes. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree. I'm not. I will agree with you on that. But before we get to the really the last 30 minutes of the film,
Hold on, I haven't given my rating
yeah,
yet.
go ahead. You said you were in between.
Yeah, but what's in between?
It's Mike. He said takeout, so and I said dine in, so there's no in between. It's
There
probably
is-
a hard takeout.
Hard takeout or soft
It's a
dine-in?
leftover. No, I'll say a dine-in.
Okay, all right. So this, as the fan of the Fast and Furious movies, this is a complete. It's a presents film, so it's not actually what the Fast and Furious
spin-off.
franchise is. It's a spin-off, and it's a hard spin-off. It's not like trying to recreate.
As opposed to a soft spin-off. you
Well,
know?
yeah, like Tokyo Drift was a soft spin-off. Tokyo Drift.
That was that was a spin-off.
It was a spin-off. It was trying to tell a different story, but it failed miserably because it was a crappy movie, and then they brought it back to the core element of because that was
Because of Han
yeah, exactly, because of
and
Han.
Shaw.
So this movie is definitely its own beast. It's utilizing characters created by Chris Morgan, I believe. But just because they're characters within that world doesn't mean that they are the same. It's not the same world per se. It almost feels like it's a completely different extended universe, and by doing that they've opened it up for a lot of humor, for a lot of ridiculousness, which we've grown to love within the Fast and Furious movies, because physics does not exist in the Fast and Furious movies. And this movie is a fast-paced movie that utilizes a lot of what David Leitch is really good at, which is action. This movie is segmented between action scenes. There's never a dull moment. Well, there is a dull moment in the last 30 minutes, and we'll talk about that when you get to the fatigue section. But like overall, a lot of the talking are ways of getting to the next action scene, and I think for that it was a commendable movie. It was actually a really fun romp up until it slowed down.
Now, I'm gonna have a hot take on this, and people are probably gonna really not like what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
But I don't like The Rock as an actor. I don't like Dwayne Johnson. I think he is not.
Explain.
He's not. He's the same in everything, and for me, he's not as charismatic. But I did enjoy him with Jason Statham in this, and their back and forth was a lot more fun than other films I've seen The Rock in.
What's unusual for me is that this movie is written by the same guys as Fast and Furious, right? And it's written by also Drew Pearce. But like honestly, the wit in this movie is almost ridiculous. Like the back and forth between those two actors was so much fun. Like right, like you have The Rock, who's like this big muscly dude, and you have Jason Statham, who's a small, tiny, muscly dude. And the back and forth is just so. It felt like Deadpool to me. That's why I was mentioning Deadpool, because the humor back and forth reminded me a lot of. And we're talking about Deadpool. This is directed by David Leitch, who directed
Deadpool 2.
And you have a feature of Ryan Reynolds in this movie, and even when he's in the movie, it almost feels like Ryan Reynolds co-wrote this movie, because you get a lot of that back and forth.
Yeah, the Ryan Reynolds scenes were definitely like, it was very, very clearly Ryan Reynolds humor for sure in those scenes with him. So,
But I will say now, I do like David Leitch's directing style. I really enjoy Atomic Blonde and the action in that. I really did enjoy Deadpool 2, John Wick, and I did enjoy the action in this film as well. And I think the addition of Vanessa Kirby in this film was heightened, because she was awesome. She was such a badass. And I think that this film, if they were to do any spin-off with Hobbs and Shaw prior to what they thought bringing Vanessa Kirby in was the smartest idea they
Yes.
could have done.
Yes, there is a moment in the movie where they're talking about where there was a cameo and they're talking about what's the problem going on here is that you need a tripod to hold this together. And I thought that Vanessa did such a great job of holding those two characters together. My only problem is, and I'm sure if people have watched this movie, is they refer to her as a girl a lot, and they treat her like a sex object a lot, which was a tad bit sexist for me. But a lot of the times you saw Vanessa Kirby not be a damsel in distress and just be a badass. Like, she would save herself, and that's really cool. But I think
I'm like, they don't have her be that much of a damsel in distress. They don't. They fake out a lot.
They do fake out a lot, but I think the problem for me was a lot of the references, the girl over there. Like, we need to get the
Rock
girl.
does make a saying that it's 2019. I don't want to give too much away, but he's like, if she wants to do something, she can do it.
Yes, I agree. and good, it's in there, but it just seemed a little bit too...
Yeah.
But, you were saying about David Leitch's directing. I didn't like his directing in this one as much as I liked them in Deadpool or Atomic Blonde. And the reason for that was because a lot of the shots...
Because of The Rock. I'm just kidding.
No. Because the shots were very similar to the previous Fast and Furious movie directors. F. Gary Gray was one, and I forget what the other one is. But it did almost feel like the quick shots were a little too much, and he's really good at holding shots.
Yeah, there were some shaky cams.
Yeah, and it was good. You can follow the action.
But all that happened for the first hour and a half, and for some reason I feel like the last 30 minutes of the film is like an entirely different film almost.
And that's we'll get to that, but yes, I agree. Like, the last 30 minutes of the film just felt like, okay, we need to end. We did a little bit of this. Like, we need to wrap this up. We're spending way too much time. This movie is 2 hours and 15 minutes. You could have finished an hour or like 30 minutes ago. But yeah, I do feel like he was trying his best to mimic a lot of the Fast and Furious movies, and I think to some difficulty there.
Or maybe because I think Dwayne The Rock Johnson is the producers, right?
Yes.
So maybe they were trying, maybe the studio was trying to get him to be holding the way that the Fast and Furious style was.
Yeah, and that's a very interesting point because this has just been recent discussion, but a lot in their scripts. This is both Jason Statham and
about
Rock's.
the punching.
Yeah, they have certain rules written into, if there's at least 5 punches, you have to show the actor punching them back and defending themselves. They can't ever lose a fight.
Well, they were doing where they were assigning points to certain attack moves and certain amount of beatings, being beat.
Yeah.
So like an elbow was like 1 point and a punch was, and all that was ended up being too hard to keep track of.
Yeah.
So they just did like all these shots and they
counted.
They counted
and edit. Yeah.
It's just so ridiculous.
It is a not a smart way of doing action at all, but it's The Rock and it's Jason Statham. What are you going to do about it?
Not watch it. That's
well, no,
or wait to watch it at home.
But except this movie is a lot of fun. Now, would I say that this movie is you need a must watch it in theaters? Not really. I watched it in like the Dolby Cinema, and the chairs shook on me, which was nice.
Okay, I was going to say, how did it sound?
It sounded fabulous.
I'm glad.
Oh, it was great. All the punches, everything felt like you felt the chairs moving. But, I did take a moment, and like Dan was saying, in the last 30 minutes, and I was like, I kind of want some ice cream. I ain't going to miss much.
I got ice cream after the movie.
I was like, I ain't going to miss much if I leave right now. And I came back, and sure enough, I missed nothing.
You would have missed The Rock holding a helicopter.
Okay, but
that's not spoiler because that's in the trailer.
But that was because Captain America did it first, and he wanted to do that. Like this movie reaches a level beyond the fourth wall.
Well, it's funny. Yeah, it does, because it's funny when you're in a theater and watching a movie and they do this action sequence. Like, I'm not like Jason Statham stops something from happening, like very last minute.
Yes,
and then the audience is like, I literally hear people on the say, "Yeah, right, that won't happen."
Which, by the way, when I was watching Fast and Furious 7 with my friend at the time, we would just yell out at the entire time at the screen, going, "That Well, that shouldn't have happened. You know, like it's hard not to shout at the screen while watching a Fast and Furious movie.
I dare anyone to not roll your eyes at least once while watching the Fast and Furious
but that's
movie.
in the DNA of all the Fast and Furious, or at least the post Tokyo Drift movies, is those moments of ridiculousness that you realize. I'm watching a cartoon with live. This is the reverse Disney. I'm watching a live version of a cartoon, and even at that, the name was it? This movie's called Hobbs and Shaw. Like, how do you not confuse Calvin and Hobbes with this title? Like they knew. These guys knew that they were making a cartoon version of this world, and it does feel cartoonish. There's a moment in which we haven't even talked about Idris Elba, in which Idris Elba, and this is the commercial, calls himself the Black Superman. Mm-hmm. It is stupid and intentionally stupid. And I think that if this movie were to have taken itself seriously, it would have fallen flat. But because it doesn't, you're laughing, you're thinking, wait, there's all those guys shooting right at them, and none of them, they're the worst stormtroopers ever. And you realize this is not that movie. You're not watching Dunkirk. You're not watching those movies. You're watching a really stupid movie, and you just have to remove your brain and enjoy it.
Yeah. I did. I felt like what David Leitch did excel in was also the relationships between each of the characters.
Yeah.
They, Vanessa Kirby and Jason Statham's brother and sister relationship was, you see the growth in there and whatnot. And then the relationship between Vanessa Kirby and Dwayne The Rock Johnson is nice to watch. And then the relationship between Hobbs and Shaw is what makes the movie as well.
Yeah, I think that foundation was what made the movie great. My problem, and I think similarly to you, Dan, it's when it tries to reveal debt in the Rock's character, Dwayne Johnson's character, that it really falls flat.
It feels like that moment should have been cut in the beginning of the film.
Yeah,
as opposed to being like the climax or the
I
third
wouldn't even call it the climax. I would just call it a waste of time. It should have been edited.
Yeah.
It should have been edited better, and it just didn't work because it goes from this very fast and furious.
Well, no, it's a very fast and furious thing because, and it's in the trailer, but it's all about family.
Yes, it does bring it back to family, but because of that,
and I haven't even seen the movies, but I know that that's a saying.
Yes, you do it for the family, but it does slow the movie down. And I think that I don't know whether or not you're right about this, whether it's because of The Rock's lack of, hopefully he's not going to bust in here.
I know. I was just pondering that. I was like, what did I just do? I insulted The Rock, and now he's going to punch me in the face.
As long as he's carrying a helicopter with him, I'd approve.
But yes, I think it falls flat at the final act. It's as I've said before, it's a 2/3 a good movie. But the first 2/3 hold it up pretty well, and it gets the final set piece. And it's, as we were talking right now, it's in the trailer. There's The Rock holding a helicopter, and it's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely Fast and Furious. And then the movie, without spoiling it, has 3 end credit scenes.
Yeah, I think it's 4.
3 or 4 end credit
total
scenes. And it is absolutely fast. This is not even, again, it's not Fast and Furious. It's Deadpool. And it's very, very funny. And it gives you a good growth, and you realize at the same time nothing has changed, and it's still a fun world to be in.
Now, let me ask a question, because this is a spinoff.
It is.
And how do you feel like it reflects the world within the Fast and Furious franchise as a whole? Do you feel like they did a good job incorporating these characters that you see in this franchise into their own movie? Or do you think that, and I'm talking about the lore, continuing the lore. I'm assuming, Mike, you've seen several of the films as well, right?
How many films have you seen, Mike?
I not that much more than you, Dan.
Maybe Z chance of this.
That is a
just
question.
because as someone who hasn't seen any of the movies, it seems like because there was a moment where one of the villains was like, "Oh, we have history," and so I was wondering if there's like, if they, how movies, they expand the lore and stuff.
Right?
Does this movie do that?
It utilizes I wouldn't say it does expand it, because there is this question of like who the big bad really is. That character was never shown in the Fast and Furious directly, I don't think, anyways. But what it does expand on, or rather what it works in its world, is the the Hobbs character. No, I'm sorry, the Shaw character. You know his family throughout the Fast and Furious franchise. You see his brother in Fast and Furious 2. He's the one who kills Anna Maria's character in that. And so that character gets killed off, which is what pisses Shaw off in Fast and Furious 6, I think. And then you have him kind of become the combatant, the villain in that. So, and then you meet the mom in, I think, Fast 8. So it does utilize all these characters. Do you need to watch all the other movies to know who his family is? No, but it does give you a background on his character a little, like, to understand him a little more. And so you know that this guy is, a badass fighter, but you don't know where he comes from. You just know that he was the brother that Vin Diesel's character killed. And so you see that growth in this movie. You do see a much more character development. In the Fast and Furious 8, I remember Rigo being on the show being like, no, you would kill the baby, right? That was one of the things that Rigo was talking about. And that's because of Shaw's character. And in this movie, you kind of get a little more of a glimpse into Shaw being a much more developed human. And I thought that was actually very interesting. Do you need to watch all the movies? No, you can watch this one.
Do you think there would be justice for Han?
I would really hope so, but at the same time, this is the guy who killed Han, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know if there.
He mentions that he's done stuff in his past that he regrets.
Yeah, but at the same time, right? He killed Han because they killed his brother. So you're like, yeah, that seems rough on both sides. I don't know. There's not going to be justice for Han. I feel like that actor got screwed out of a good story. Yeah, absolutely. He was a great character, and they got rid of him. But yeah, I think that if you watch all the Fast and Furious movies, you do get something out of this movie. But do you need to watch Fast and Furious? No, not at all. This is a standalone.
Awesome. So this might be another question just to you, because I'm not sure, Mike, if you noticed.
Sure.
Maybe if you look over here, you could see who. But if you could have another spin-off film of any of the characters from Fast and Furious, who would you pick? I have mine.
I would want to see Han. That was actually like one of my favorite characters. They really developed his character in Fast 5, and then they sacrificed him. And then we did see a prequel in Tokyo Drift. I would say, I would say can I see the list of characters? This
is from Fast 8, but
yeah. Well, here, give yours and I'll look at mine. Mr. Nobody's a fun character, but yeah, go ahead.
I would actually want to see Ramsey, who is the hacktivist, right? She's a computer hacker.
This is the recent one, the one in Fast 8.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Ludacris.
Ludacris. I was looking for that character's name. Yeah, those two characters, Ludacris, and I forget who the other friend is. Tyrese. Those guys are what make that movie work really well, and I feel like even at that, I would say the Cobbs and Shaw character are based off of those two characters because they go back and forth. Anytime they're doing the racing, they go back and forth, and I think that these characters are based off of those characters.
Yeah, I would want to see Tyrese, Ludacris, and Natalie Emmanuel.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah,
Mike?
I don't.
Mike does not care.
Yeah, I don't.
Hey Mike, why didn't this movie work for you?
I didn't enjoy it as the same way you did, as far as like the humor and the I would have preferred for it to be even sillier than it already was, I guess. Or
you felt like they took it too seriously, the moments that were too serious?
I think the strength of this film obviously was the action, which is fun to watch. I think if it would have been first it was a very, very long film. I think
2:15 is too long.
Yeah, I think if it
for this type of film.
Yeah, I think if it would have been shortened down by like a half hour to an hour, it would have been easier. But I thought the Idris Elba's character was a super cool villain, and where it seemed like Hobbs and Shaw were outmatched when trying to fight him, which was super fun to watch. It kind of reminded me of like Winter Soldier style.
Yeah, definitely
which was super fun to see. But I didn't enjoy the back and forth the same way you guys did. I just
It was too stupid.
No. I felt like they didn't have enough.
Skill in improv.
I felt like there should have been more time spent in the writing and more time spent in the back and forth. I was hoping like maybe that was what my problem was that I for whatever reason I was hoping for this to be like a Lethal Weapon type thing where I mean there's goofy.
Well, you would have a straight guy if you needed that.
Yeah, there's obviously the goofiness, but there would be like it would be balanced out with some intense drama.
Lethal Weapon was only 2 people for the first several films.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you got but
do you remember Lethal Weapon? No, I'm just messing.
No,
Mel Gibson and Danny Glover.
What I mean is like more. Just more drama and more intense seriousness as well to counteract with the silliness.
Yeah,
Ryan Reynolds was a fun I think it was fun cameo.
Also there was Kevin Hart.
Yeah, there was Kevin Hart as well, which was also a cameo. I don't think it would have hurt the movie to have a little bit more comedy like these characters in that. So
well, and I would say this, right? This is not a movie for everyone. The back and forth is very, very much locker room, humor.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So some people might actually not find that as funny as they are like very aggressively, belittling each other's manhoods. To the extent that there's a moment where what was the name again? The
Hobbs?
Yeah. The fake name they give The Rock.
Mike Oxen.
Oxmall.
Mike. Yeah, Mike Oxmall. Yeah, that one. Yeah. Which was again, it's very boy.
He
humor,
goes by Michael.
but it's very locker room humor. So
that was actually one of the more funny scenes.
It was, yeah. And I don't know about you, but it's like that's what I went in for, and that's what I got. But it's not going to be for everyone. I think that's what might be the line. If you can enjoy a lot of dick humor,
not that I don't enjoy like lowbrow humor, but
it's very lowbrow.
But I feel like it was imbalanced. It wasn't properly balanced, and there was. The action was great, but there was so much of it that it was kind of numbing for me. Where
these movies are kind of numbing, yes.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, it was hard for me. There was so much cool stuff going on screen, and I would just zone out. I wasn't paying attention anymore. And not that the action is bad, but
you zoned out so much that you missed the Tenet trailer.
Yeah, I went back in time. I missed all the trailers. Yeah. No, there was just so much stuff happening that did
you have a oversensory load?
Maybe that was it.
Yeah.
I was just I mentally.
Did you start to drool?
I did. No. I felt like I mentally checked out halfway through the movie. I was like okay, and then my internal clock was this movie's ending in about 10 minutes. I feel it.
Yeah.
And then it's no, it's not.
Yep.
You got about 45 more minutes to go. And then it felt like I was, instead of watching a Fast and Furious spin-off, I felt like I was binge watching a Fast and Furious season on Netflix. That's what it felt like. It felt like I was like that. I'm here for hours.
Like you're watching The Last Airbender.
It just felt like it was never ending. I was like, this is my new life. I gotta
settle in.
I'm just gonna have to work through this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be here.
Are
for
you
a couple
goldfish,
of days.
Mike?
Well, and I'm not gonna lie. I did feel fatigue. I think that I agree. And we already talked about this, which is the last 30 minutes of this movie. You do suffer a drop in momentum very, very quickly. As soon as you hit I would say probably third location in this film, you really do feel like, okay, we need to wrap this up because it's just now dragging. But
I mean, it only feels that way because of the fatigue. If it's balanced out with something else, the length wouldn't matter. If you got you need time away from it to appreciate it,
Yeah.
So I think if it would have the spaces in between, all the crazy cool action sequences, if those were stronger, I think that would have made the film stronger overall.
And I think overall, right, this movie doesn't know whether or not it wants to be a action comedy or become an action drama, and that's the problem. At the very last bit of the movie, the film's central goal gets mixed around, and you do feel it, and then it finds its way back to action comedy. So that's where the fatigue and the pacing really do struggle in this movie.
Okay.
Okay, let's go ahead and give our final thoughts. Z?
You know, we've had a pretty bad week. I feel like. I'm being very serious I'm being very serious about the country. Just there's been several shootings, and these are some really tough times. But I feel like if you really need to kind of just simply go and watch something that's mind-numbingly fun, and you can just walk away kind of remembering that family and the people around you are important, this movie kind of fits that glove. It does really a good job of kind of making you forget about all the bad shit, and it makes you think about the really fun stuff. And then it drops the ball a little bit, but it picks it right back up. So I would say if you really want to just simply, think of something else, go watch this movie. It was actually a lot of fun. And so, yeah.
We have a couple comments from Alexis Gaines. She says, Kevin Hart's. And
more than one? Was there more than one Kevin Hart's?
Yes, no, she was just about Kevin Hart's.
Oh, okay.
And yep, he was winning that fight. $1 Million Man versus Winter Soldiers, what it seemed like.
Yep.
Then she laughed Michael when it's Mike. Smashing their faces into Scanner was priceless. And Family First.
Yeah,
so, yep,
yeah,
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoyed the first hour and a half of this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. When the last 30 minutes hit, it was like we mentioned, numbing, but it does bring it back at the end. So I would recommend to go watch this in theaters.
Yeah.
Get away from the heat.
Get away from the heats.
Mike?
I like how they snuck in the Transformer sounds. Like
Yeah, the helicopter. I noticed that as well.
There's so many things. There's a lot of Easter eggs in this movie. There's an Italian Job Easter egg. There's obviously Deadpool Easter eggs like crazy in this movie. But
there's Jumanji,
there's
guess,
Jumanji.
Because Kevin Hart.
Yeah, Jumanji makes an appearance in there. So yeah, it's really ridiculous. Mike, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. I think if you've enjoyed the other Fast and Furious films, you'd most likely enjoy this one. I think if in general you're not attracted to any of their Fast and Furious movies, you could definitely skip this one. If you want to see a film about family, I would recommend checking out The Farewell instead.
That's fair.
So
okay.
Wow, that's total opposite.
That's
but it's a very good film.
No. You're comparing apples to oranges at that point because you really.
I am, but it's totally apples and oranges. But I'm saying if you're not attracted to Fast and Furious at all, and you want to see a film about appreciating family,
if you want a tasteful movie, watch The Farewell
because it's in theaters as well.
It's okay, Mike. Yes, I'm just kidding. That's a good recommendation, Mike.
If you want,
good job.
If you want your mind numbed, it's funny to hear Dan describe the first hour and a half is okay.
No. He did not say it's okay. He said it's enjoyable.
Good. Yeah. It's funny to hear it described as that because that's a good example of how you feel the length of this film.
Yeah, you do.
So, anyways, that's my last word.
So we'll say dining and watching in theaters.
Yes. Can we stick a brick into Mike's chest?
Sure.
Oh, sure.
Like to see you try.
On that note, thank you so much, Z.
Thank
for
you.
On the show. Thank you so much, Mike,
for
being
Dan.
here, as always. And I'm Dan the Man Muñoz. Make sure to visit our website at moviemenupodcast.com. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and we also have a YouTube channel. We have subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We will be there, and you will not be square if you subscribe, rate, review, comment, share. We are everywhere. Hey, that rhymed. I didn't even try to rhyme. Like I'm a poet.
Good
Look
job,
at that. On that note, until next time, guys, thank you so much, and goodbye.
2, 3, 4.